Let's talk about Reece Walsh. It is the greatest individual performance I've ever seen in clubland, ever. And, you know, people will say I'm biased towards the Broncos. I don't give a shit. It's the greatest one I've ever seen. I don't care. I've never seen in such a big game a player absolutely dominate another side in attack and defence.
I think it is by far and away the best individual grand final performance I've seen. And to your point, when you do things, has to matter.
That's why it's the best.
It has to fucking
Obviously,
matter.
there's been better NRL.
There's been better.
Yeah.
There's been
but
incredible.
Grand final matters.
Yeah.
It's a grand final
on the biggest stage. When you go through that game, like there was, I put it on Instagram today. There's like 7 plays in that game that he either scores a try, sets one up, or saves a try. They didn't win 40-0. He wasn't running downhill. That was against the Melbourne Storm where they won by 4 points and they were down by 10 at half time.
It's just
unbelievable. Like we spoke about it last week that I sort of mentioned how the Melbourne Storm have this incredible history of stopping Hayne, Barba, Turbo, guys at their best. People at home thought I was comparing him to them. I wasn't. But now I'm going to. Because it fucking shits on them. He's got a trophy. He's got a Clive.
You know what? And I've never heard Bellamy say this. In the post-match press conference, they said, did you have a plan for Walsh? He immediately interrupted the reporter and said, it didn't bloody work, did it? Filthy. So I've never heard Bellamy say our plan didn't work. And that is a question that we're going to have to ask. Yes, was Tommy Turbo longer? Was Hayne longer when it comes to form? But none of them went to a grand final and did it. It goes down as one of the best runs of form we've ever seen, in my opinion.
If Pappy scores on that last play and Melbourne win the grand final in unbelievable circumstances, I'm sorry, Walsh still gets my Clive.
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
If Eli Katoa set that try up, he's second best on the field, I think.
It's funny you say
that.
that.
You cannot go past Reece Walsh.
It's funny you say that because the second half, I was getting stuff ready for like who's going to win the Clive. I had Katoa because he was fucking unbelievable. And I was sitting there going, well, if I put everyone's going to say I'm biased, but I was like, but Walsh has been the best player on the field. Even if Storm win, he has been. But you're right, mate. Now, I guess that's a question I want to ask you guys. Considering the fact that it's about 6 games of great form, and then considering the fact that he won the grand final, a premiership on his back, is it better than previous years of the Haynes, the Tommy Turbos, the Barbas?
I think it is because when you do things, matters. You beat up on teams in the regular season. It's not nothing. It's impressive, but mate, to do it in the way that he did it against Canberra, Penrith, Melbourne, it doesn't get harder than that. I think it has to go down as the greatest run from an individual.
Timmy?
I think so, yeah, just because, as you said, Rube, timing matters. And to do it in finals, 3 games on the trot against this unbelievable Penrith Panthers dynasty, to win it against them when it mattered, to do it against this unbelievable Melbourne Storm with one of the best spines we've ever seen, with probably the best coach we've ever seen. It matters from Reece Walsh. And as you said, like the regular season, that's great when, you know, Turbo, Barba, Hayne had a lot of their best runs. And I know they did it early in finals, but they were all stopped. Tommy Turbo didn't get to a grand final. The other 2 got to grand finals and didn't have major impacts in those games. There are lots of great plays in this game, but in my opinion, Reece Walsh pretty well single-handedly won it for them. And going into the game was like, all right, Walsh and Payne Haas need to fire. Haas was okay by his standards, but wasn't his best game of all time. But Reece Walsh, he basically did it off his own back. And we know that we've always said when it comes to Reece Walsh that he'll play all this high upside football where he'll throw these lavish passes and chip for himself and do all these things. And when they come off, it'll look great. But when it doesn't, it can go messy very quickly and pear-shaped. Mate, for about 2 months now, 9 out of 10 things he's going for are coming off, and he's executing every single one of them. And the best thing about this game is, as you said, sure, he pulled off all the big plays in attack and was the difference there, but the defensive plays of the knocking the ball out of Kamikamitha's hands for a near certain try, the tackle on Ryan, the coverage, I should say, on Ryan Pappenhausen where he forced him to flick back in field. This is Pappy, one of the quickest fullbacks in the game over a short distance. And then the feint on Eli Katoa and Pappenhausen pretty well on the buzzer, which essentially won them the game as well. 3 of the best defensive plays you'll see, not what he's known for. So, mate, I think with the grand final under his belt, it's the best run.
I tell you what, that defensive play is one of the best defensive plays I've ever seen in a grand final. Now, granted, you've got your Sattler tackles and that. They'll always be the GOAT. The mental, like to have you so zoned in that you've quickly measured that Ezra will probably catch Katoa. So you're going to go for the big play. Like imagine if he dives and Katoa just runs under the post. He would be, that's the game over. That is game over. To have the guts to identify everything that's happening that quickly and still make the tackle on Pappy, it's one of the great defensive plays in a grand final. On the buzzer, like that's the game right there. That is the premiership. in a nutshell, and it was a Reece Walsh defensive play that won it. A defensive play is just... Anyway, what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, completely agree with all that. You touched on the Tui tackle, and I reckon that was key because if that was a try, that, the Storm just have all the momentum there at the start of the half. So that one, for me, was particularly clutch and probably swung the momentum back to the Broncos as well. But to answer your question, I think, does this put his run of form above those other guys? I think it does because, you guys have covered off on it, but would you rather win a Dally M or a premiership with you? Like, that's what everyone plays for, a premiership. And to have the Clive as well, just peaking at the right time, I think this probably elevates his amazing run of form over some of those guys.
And I think that the other boys potentially, like, leading into the grand final last night, had higher highs and probably better patches within the streak of form of, they're all sort of that 8 to 10-ish game run. They hit higher heights. So if the Broncos didn't get home that grand final last night, I'd say, you know what? I don't think it probably was, and I think potentially there was others there. But to get the grand final and the Churchill on top of it all, I think he's topped them.
Well, I'd say go this far. Even if they won the premiership but he was quiet, I would still say the other boys had a better year. But it's the fact that he wasn't just good. It's the greatest individual grand final performance we've ever seen. Now, granted, you've got the Cleary situation, and could you say that's the greatest moment? Probably, like when it comes to changing the game, 20 minutes. But for the whole 80 minutes, where it was just unbelievable form, well, we've just never seen anything like that. Now, granted, if you've got Cleary is still the greatest ever, I'm not going to fucking argue. Like, that was amazing, but it's just the whole game. What do you got there, mate?
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't think I've ever seen, and this may be recency bias, but I genuinely don't think I've ever seen one person have so much output in an entire final series, especially when they were not favourites for any of the games.
That's so true.
Like, seriously. Like, I know Cleary's like one of the finals goats, and, you could probably pinpoint one of the years, but, like, just sheer output, I can't think of anyone.
Reece Walsh was at 50-1 for the Clive 5 weeks ago.
50
I
to
did
1.
I did a reel for it where I went through the guys. I didn't say his name. And Broncos fans absolutely hammered me, as they have for a month straight. Shout out to you, deserved every fucking bit of it. 50-1 he was, as was Payne Haas.
I want to point one more thing out. When Mam, Reynolds and Cobbo went down, and everyone was like, and me included, was like, oh, that's probably, that fifth little period probably cost the Broncos their season. That was the last game they lost.
Wow.
Like, he truly put the club on his back. Like, even during this time, Ben Hunt has been solid, but he hasn't, like, got all these try assists and killing. Like, it has just been Reece Walsh. Like, he's the guy where all our points are. You've got the greatest ever tactician, you could argue, in Craig Bellamy, sitting there he's got weeks to prepare, thinking the Broncos going to be there, and even he couldn't stop it. Even he was left going, I don't know how to stop a guy like Reece Walsh. It's just...
Mate, I don't think you can, I'll be honest. Like, with the levels that Reece Walsh is hitting, with his speed, with his strength, with his ball playing, I know this sounds probably silly. I don't think you can shut him down. Like, I think you can limit his output, but you're not going to shut him down like Craig Bellamy. You've spoken about it, Roo. He has full-blown shut-down players for the best part of 2 decades. When Reece Walsh is in form like this, and he has even a little bit of momentum from the middles, which he's always going to get with Pat Caden and Payne Haas, I don't think you can stop him.
It's crazy. Man, I'll never forget all those years ago. We've been about 5 years ago, and I used to do reaction videos for young guys coming through. And one Reece Walsh came across. I don't know how it came to me, got sent to me or whatever. And it was this little fella in a headgear. And I remember watching the highlights just going, the way this kid moves is like Renoff like, And obviously you don't want to say that because he hasn't played NRL yet and all that kind of stuff. But he was gliding across the ground. And I remember saying in that moment, I said, I reckon this guy can be the fullback for the Broncos after Darius retires. Did I ever think he'd be this good? No way. Like, I thought he'd be good, but great like this. Like his career now is on a trajectory to match anyone if he continues going this route. And I'm just so happy for him. And, like, obviously I don't know Walshy that well, but just when it's just so good as a fan to see him from a young teenager going to school. You see all those old videos. He's from the Gold Coast as well, so that, like, there's that. To see him go all the way to here. And, like, his life hasn't been easy. If you've read his story, did you guys read his story on the week? Like, so, go to Code Sports. We're talking about his mum basically walked out and just never came home. His father raised him by himself. His mum had issues with drugs. He had a child when he was like 19 and then that was worrying Walshy because he didn't want to have the same situation that his father had because he had kids when he was younger. Like this kid, he hasn't been a silver spoon, like that everything's gone well for him. He has had to fight for everything he's got. And then to have this moment, it's truly an incredible story. And I'm so happy for him.
He picks up his life and moves to New Zealand too.
It's just, and then he calls Reynolds back on Mad Monday whilst at the Warriors and he said, I'll come back and I hope you win a premiership. Mate, like, and that's the thing, like with Walsh, you're like, yeah, okay, he's a rock star. Yeah, okay, he might piss you off. I get all that. He's a good human being. He's a good bloke. Like if you've ever spoke to this guy, is a good human being. Yeah, I remember watching an interview with him a couple of weeks ago and they kind of, I think it was Chamis maybe that asked him kind of about that whole thing. Like he carries on a little bit and he layers up. And Walsh gave a pretty intelligent answer. He was like, well, I know that like people know who I am, but I can't let that stop me from being me because then I always promised myself that I wouldn't stop being me if I ever played NRL. And he's absolutely right. Like so many players get to that stage and societal pressures just put a clamp on them because they're just like, oh, I don't want to be embarrassed. He's not embarrassed of anything, like absolutely anything. And it's a really good lesson for young people as well. Like look at Walshy. He's got the nail polish. He's doing whatever he wants to do. And that's a sign of strength in yourself. Like you strengthen yourself.
Just bear with me for a moment here. This will be a lot to take in. But you're going to love this. When we're looking at, those Hayne, Barba, Turbo seasons, right? So Turbo, that 2021 season, unbelievable, right? Once again, Supercoach stats aren't everything.
Yeah.
But they reflect how good you are in attack, essentially. Turbo that season had an unbelievable season. He averaged 143 Supercoach points per game, which is astronomical, right? Walsh in the last 7 weeks, including finals against Canberra, against fucking Penrith, against Melbourne in a grand final, he's averaged 137. Fuck. Turbo, that season, towards the back end of the season, the last 6 weeks, he had 2 shots at Melbourne. He lost both of them. He came up with a grand total of 2 try assists and he broke 7 tackles. Reece Walsh got 1 shot at them in a grand final and doubled all those stats. Like, it's unfucking believable. If you think it's not the best, you just don't like Reece Walsh.
Yeah, it's fucking unbelievable. Like, we've never seen a team of that caliber be torn apart like that by and as you said, Matty, they were underdogs in every, and not just a little bit of underdogs. They're paying 210. They were underdogs in every single game. And I guess that's one thing that you can't measure for is just pure talent and greatness. Like, how do you measure that? How could you ever expect that Walsh would come out and do that? You just couldn't.
And talking about Kempy, like, how do you stop a bloke like Reece Walsh? Such a big part of, rugby league, everything they do in backline movements is basically to get a 3-on-2 with your fullback sweeping out the back. If a defensive side like the Melbourne Storm can get it 3-on-3 and they get their half, whether it's Munster or Hughes, on with the fullback, and it's a 3-on-3, they go, cool, we've done our job, we should be able to shut this down from here. That happened time and time again last night where it was a 3-on-3 and Walsh was 1-on-1 with Munster and Hughes, 2 of the best defensive halves in the competition. He just made them look second rate.
Mate, it's unbelievable. How strong is he in contact?
The try assist against Penrith, which was a crazy replica of the first try assist last night for Dean Mariner, whereas like in contact and manages not to collapse in it but then get a ball away. He's so strong.
Oh, mate, what the hell? And then that one that got disallowed, like that pass was just like, I just can't believe it. I seriously just, like, that's greatness. That is truly, truly greatness. And this kid has the world at his feet. I hope he's got the right people around him. He already would have been dealing with this, but there's going to be so many people, fucking bloodsuckers coming around, or just keep your circle tight and just enjoy it.
Obviously, a lot has to happen. There's a lot's going to play out, but as a 23-year-old, the form that he's shown, like his ceiling of what he could achieve in his career with the experience that he's had and how good he is and how talented he is, like it's as good, it's as high a ceiling as I've ever seen in a player.
What can't he do if he continues doing this? Like he's done it at Origin, he's killed it at Origin, now he's done it in the grand final. He's only going to get better. He's 23 years old.
In the space of 2 months, he went from, do you add Walsh to the Kangaroo squad for MVP tour of the UK and maybe he's putting there for experience and you look towards the World Cup to even before Teddy pulled out of the tour, he's hands down the fullback for the Kangaroos.
And he may not lose that jersey for 5 years.
I don't think 2 months ago he goes on the tour. You weren't going to leave Teddy out, and I doubt they would have left Edwards out for Reece Walsh, who had been kind of patchy throughout the season. I don't think he goes on the tour. And so I think Weeks would have been in front of him 6 weeks ago.
That's fair. Because there was a period there where Weeks was in running for a fullback Dally M. The moment that happened, and again, this shows you how you might have a different, wrong opinion of Walshy. So they asked him, like, what changed mid-year? Like, what went different? And he said, well, at the start of the year, I was going home and I was watching clips. All I thought about was rugby league. I couldn't stop watching clips. I couldn't stop thinking about what I needed to do, how I needed to get better. You know, my children would be there and I'd have my phone. I'd just be watching clip after clip after clip. And so no one would expect that's what Walsh does. He came in and Madge said to him, mate, when you're in here, lock in. When you're out there, you need to be a father, a man, and enjoy your life. So he went away. And it's funny because I remember at the midway of the season, we spoke about how away from footy, Walsh needs to calm his mind. He just needs to bring everything back down, whatever routine he needs to get back in to bring his mind down. And that's exactly what it was. It was enjoying life again. It was focusing on the more important things in life that brought this greatness out. And again, Michael Maguire, the ability to identify, like you've got your star player that can change your whole future. The ability to go, I'm going to make him do less homework in rugby league. Like any coach would be like, there's no way I'm changing that. Well, I'm not going to change my star player from watching more clips. I'll watch more clips. But to understand Walshy well enough to go, no, that's not good for you. That's just great coaching. Just great coaching.